Hey, Neil McDonnell here. I wanted to give you another Neil Raw video, and this is one of the videos where I just go through, I haven't prepped it, scripted it out, etc. What I'm trying to show those of you who watch this video is how I do what I do. For example, today we're going to be looking at a strategic action plan at NASA, and I'm trying to use that as an example to say or to show you how I go through a strategic action plan to find nuggets that'll help me as I move forward. It's also really important for when you have a meeting with a customer, you want to make sure you're doing your homework, you're prepared. And so by reading this action plan, my customer will be able to go in. So I'm actually reviewing this document on behalf of my customer. I have customers, they pay me to help them get in the door. Many of you can't afford to pay me, so I put these videos out there to just kind of look over my shoulder and see what I do. I hope you find it valuable. Definitely put comments in. Let me know if there's ways I can be clearer. Remember, this video is designed to be raw in the sense that I treat it like a maze, right? When I'm doing my research on an action plan, et cetera, I'm going to go down a particular path, and I'm going to go down that path until I hit a wall. And if I hit a wall, I'll back up and I'll come back and go a different direction. In this scenario, in this video, it's a little less of that case because it's a strategic plan, and I'm going to be reading from the top to the bottom. Let me go ahead and share that document actually while we're talking. So I'm going to minimize some of my windows here. You can see the strategic action plan. That's what I'm going to go through. So I'm going to go through from the top to the bottom and pull out gems that can be useful. In this case, I'm going to try to use, I downloaded it, put it in Acrobat. Acrobat allows you to highlight. I don't know if you've done this before, but with the Acrobat Reader, you can do some basic editing. In this case, I can highlight stuff. So while I'm talking to you, or when I'm doing my reviews of documents like this, I'm going to highlight certain sections that I like, and later on I'll come back, grab them, put them into a more formal call plan sheet. But think about it this way. NASA Glenn Research Center is one of the 8 or 9 major centers or sub-agencies of NASA. If we set up a meeting, which my customer has, and they're going to go out and talk to folks at Glenn, the folks at Glenn are going to want to know that they've done their homework. And one of the things that could easily come up is, have you read the strategic action plan? That's what we're trying to do here. Anytime you go into any customer, they're almost always going to want you to do that. In fact, I just had a meeting yesterday. I was a silent participant on the call, but I had helped prepare my customer for the call that they were on. And this was an Army phone call they were making. And 3 of my customers' senior people were on the call. And the amount of information that they had at their hands, the questions they were asking, made it very clear to the person on the other side of the line that these people had done their homework, that they had taken care of all the basics. They had understood, for example, in this Army Major Buying Command, there was subordinate commands. They looked at the subordinate commands and understood which ones of those subordinate commands fit with what they were selling. And then this Major Buying Command also laid out how they support mission partners. These are people, commands further down within the Army who were out, fighting the wars. And there was these 5 or 6 mission areas, and my customer was able to say, look, looking at your mission areas, these 2 really fit in with what we do, which helped the person on the other side of the line guide them even farther into program offices. So it was a really good call, but it was a really well-prepared call. And that's exactly what I'm doing in this video today. So let's get rocking and rolling. Again, this is NASA Glenn Research Center Strategic Action Plan. I have no idea what it means. I'm assuming it's like a 2020 or whatever year this is strategy document. One of the first things I do just to kind of get a gauge of it is, if you download this into Acrobat, you can go take a look at their properties. And that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm pulling this up, and I'm just trying to find some basic things, like when did this document created? So it was all beginning of 2019. Apparently it wasn't that old, so it can't be that old. It's a strategic plan for 2019. And by the way, that's the difference between strategic action plan. I always look for strategic or strategy plans in any customer I go to. It's where they say a little bit about what they've done and a lot about where they're going, the challenges they're trying to overcome, their goals and objective for the year out, or even the next 3 or 4 or 5 years out. Okay, so I can look at this and I can see what's there. That's good. There's nothing else really for me to see on the metadata, so that's good. Okay, now I'm coming down, and again, raw video. I'm doing this for myself. You just get to watch me do it and see how I do it. So the first thing I'm going to come in here is just take a look at the table of contents. I got to get used to the Zoom here so I don't go crazy on the Zoom. Okay, well, so it's bouncing around. But here, the table of contents is just going to give me a quick idea that this is perfect. I get a understanding. So page 4 and 5, you can see here that every department has a set of vision, mission, and goals, and subordinate commands or subordinate entities all try to tie to the upper entity's goals. And so you want to know that. In this case, I really want to know what on page 5, and I don't know if I'm highlighting this here, but on page 5, right, I want to know what Glen's strategic direction, their mission, their goals are, but I also want to know what it means to NASA's, because they want to know that if I'm in there helping them, that I also am aware that they are helping NASA with their overall goal. It's to go to the moon, by the way. Okay, and then I like this, that they have a strategic action plan framework. I'm assuming that's going to be some of their objectives, et cetera. And that's a big part of what I want to see, because I want to see where does my customer fit in. I don't know what the scorecard is. Doesn't matter. I'll figure it out when I get to that page. And then the Glen roles and expected behaviors. So we'll see what those are and take a look at that. Let me go back to one page down. Okay, so here's the director, and she's putting out a message. Even on the message side, I look in here, there's going to be some basic, fluff, right? Which is fine. I mean, her job's kind of pump up Glen, but I'm looking in here to go, is there anything she's saying that pops out as kind of a key way of her saying it and her team saying it, that if we begin to repeat it in similar language, we're tying our message to their message. So let's go ahead and read this together. I read pretty fast when I'm scanning, because I'm just trying to jump there. But here they're just talking about the big vision in blue, and then I'm going to zoom in more so it's even easier for all of us. Arg. So right here, NASA strategic plan tells me what this is, right? So it embraces the NASA activities. It promotes accountability and transparency. Those are key words you want to pay attention to. Those are great words to put into your marketing material. Your RFI response, your proposal is how you really focus on accountability, transparency. What benefits can you bring to NASA? So I like to find kind of some of those buzzwords that helps me speak a little bit more in NASA's language. Emphasize. So let me pause for a second. Compared to when I deal with the Army, for example, you might see me using a lot more terms more like lethality, right? In NASA, I would never say lethality. It's not like we're trying to go to space and kill all the aliens we find from different planets. It's not their mission. But in DoD, their mission really is around lethality. They need to be the war-fighting force or agency of America's federal government. Anyways, okay, so emphasize with NASA's strategic plan. Okay, so right here, this one, if you haven't seen things like this before, here it's saying what NASA's 4 main themes are: discover, explore, develop, and enable. And I love it. It's really exciting. So here, the next sentence talks about how Glen is supporting that. And I want to know later how they're supporting that. So that's just a nice thing, but nothing worth highlighting for me. NASA Glen strategic plan outlines how our center will support and further NASA's mission. So for me, I'm going to grab this one here as an example and just highlight that, because when my customers do some, pitching, whatever you call it, marketing, sales, et cetera, to the government, it'd be nice if we use a line that's similar to that we're trying to outline how Neil will support and further NASA's mission. And in this case, I would say how Neil would support and further Glen's mission. So, kind of using similar language that they have, but fitting in that I recognize that my job is to support their mission. It's not to come in with some, new set of work. It's the foundation on which we establish our direction, guide our activities, and align our priorities. This too is really important to me, right? They're saying in here that it's really important that they align themselves with NASA because it guides everything they do. Well, it's the same thing for us contractors, is that we want to align ourselves to Glen because it's important to guide our activities as Glen is guiding, using NASA as a guide. Okay, so unified vision for the future. Let me come back up here, play around with my little scrolling. Okay, so and this page isn't too long. This document isn't too long. It's only 16 pages. Focus on how Glen, okay, so here we're going to focus on how Glen is helping to discover new science. So here it's I'm going to bypass that whole paragraph because really it was just their way of sitting there tying NASA's main themes into what they do. Here, though, they're saying to be successful, we must focus not only on what we're doing today, but on the challenges, opportunities lie ahead. What challenges are you dealing with is what I want to know. This document will be revisited, whatever. Core values, 7 expected behaviors. I don't care about those at the moment because I know there's a whole page down below on it, so I'll read them there. Okay, so that paragraph's just more internally focused. And I'm proud of the work being done. Sets us on the path to ensure the center continues to play a leading role. Okay, so that's good. So I read this, and let me come back to a single page again. So I read this document, and I want my customer to really pay attention to this one paragraph down there. So I'll cut and paste that in my prep with them. It's something important for them. Sorry, let me come back here. Okay, so this page is all about NASA at the higher level. I'm not even going to zoom in because there's nothing I need to go into at the moment. I'm already very familiar with NASA. I already talked about discover, explore, develop, and enable. This is what NASA does. It's their 4 themes, and it's a beautiful way of laying it out. So you can go in there for yourself and see it. My customer's already familiar with NASA. Here we're talking about Glenn in particular. So I'm going to move on to the next page, which is how these guys laid out. Let me go wide. Okay, so here's Glenn's strategic direction, mission, and goals that I want to focus on. And I don't want to regurgitate everything that they write in the document, but if there's something, that sounds good, I want to pop it out. Okay, so strategic direction. Glenn's mission, goals, and objectives align and outline the direction, whatever. That's a repeat of what she said. Okay, so the mission. We drive research, technology, and systems to advance aviation, expand human presence across the solar system, enable exploration of the universe, and improve life on Earth. So you don't need to memorize this, but you absolutely need to know what their goal is. I would say anytime you're going into a new agency, you should grab their mission and vision statement if they have it and put it right at the top of your call plan sheet. Again, I'm not saying you have to memorize it, but it's good if you can sit there and know what they're doing because you're trying to sit there and help them do that. You're not trying to help them build a new facility. You're not trying to help them with an IT project. You're trying to help them expand human presence across the solar system. Right? You do that by cleaning the bathrooms or whatever it is we do. Okay, so they're strategic. So that's a good one for the mission. Let me just highlight that. So I got it. I remind myself. Strategic goals. So NASA, Glenn's unique roles and competencies allow us to directly support the goals. Okay, so here they're trying to, so these are goals and themes, right? Expand is the theme and then expand human knowledge. So here they're talking in this paragraph, it looks like how they'll support the NASA goal. So let me just read this here. NASA Glenn provides cutting edge in-space propulsion and power systems for exploration and science missions while serving as a global leader of microgravity, fluid physics research, and in advancing material. Okay, that's great. It's way too deep for the customers I'm supporting. The customers I'm supporting are not actually at the level where they'll be helping with any of the anything that goes into space, right? Most of the customers I have, in fact, all of the customers I work with, even casually or officially, are all in, let's say, the supporting services, whether they're running the whole IT systems for organizations, running the facilities, acquiring new real estate, whatever it is, it's more in the supporting side rather than creating satellites or spaceships. So I'll move through that pretty fast, but it's good to just at least read it. 16 pages. It takes me an hour. If we could land $1 million, that's a good trade-off of doing some of this homework. Okay, so goal 2, extend the human presence. By the way, if you don't know this, NASA's main mission, their only thought is to the moon by 24. There's a lot of other stuff that they're doing, blah, 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 but it's been drilled in really hard. NASA, moon, 24. Okay, so NASA Glenn plays a critical role in deep space exploration, which I would love to personally go do, including European spacecraft. So this first paragraph is about spacecrafts. As NASA's lead for so they're the lead for the electric propulsion and power. Kind of helps you understand, across NASA and the centers that each are contributing to the space activity. And this is, they're saying that Glenn is the leader on propulsion. Okay, so early phase research through flight system development, power system, blah, blah, blah. So if you're in that, that's great. None of that matters to my customer. NASA Glenn leads in situ resource utilization, which I don't know what that is, but for agencies to enable future prospecting and use of natural resources. A gold rush, great. Center develops and validates cryogenic fluid management technologies and applies. This is all good stuff. Simulation, so it's pretty advanced for those of you in space, but for those of you just looking, I'm moving on, right? So that goal. So right now, so far, there's been 2 goals that we've looked at, and my customers don't fit into either of the first 2. The reason this is important is, remember, if I go back just for a second, because I want to keep us on remembering some of these things. There are, did they say it? Well, they're not saying it here, but let me pop out I'm going to show you a little cheat sheet I used earlier for a second. Navigation panes and bookmarks. So NASA did a really good job on their PDF, and they put bookmarks in here, or maybe they're automated, who knows? But I was able to see there's 4 goals. So we've gone through 2 of them, and I know that's not us. And now I'm looking through the rest. Okay, so that was 2. Let's go into 3. I'm going to go in here. Address the national challenges and catalyze economic growth. So we would love to contribute to economic growth. Okay, so NASA Glenn collaborates with industry, that's us, to develop advanced technologies related to air breathing and propulsion, fluid management, power and energy, communication technologies. So this is where, if you're cutting edge, you can definitely fit into this side. We applies its aeronautic expertise and addressing challenges. So here they're talking about addressing not just space, but air flight across the board. It ensures U.S. leadership in the advance of electrified aircraft propulsion. So they're contributing to that. There's a lot that NASA does. A lot of people just think NASA goes to space. It's always interesting. Here's another simple little fact, right? You got the Army and the Navy, and everybody would think that the Navy has more boats. They don't. The Army has more boats. It's learning about some of these agencies really help you understand where you can fit in, and most importantly, how you can support their mission. So these guys are supporting industry as well. Let's just go back though. I'm bypassing that because none of that really is popping for me on helping my customers when they have the conversation. They catalyze economic development by engaging with and transferring technology to private sector, employing public-private partnerships. They support STEM partners. So if it fits in, that's great. I'm mostly looking for IT-related stuff in this particular exercise. Okay, so optimize capabilities and operations. So goal 1, 2, and 3, I have not fit in, but goal 4, I'm pretty sure is where we fit, which is helpful now when we do our call planning and we talk to our customer and we say, hey, we were looking at that strategy action plan or strategic action plan, and the 4 main goals for Glenn, we fit in goal number 4, I'm assuming. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. But when we say that, they're going to go, oh, that's great. You know where you fit. And let's talk further about that. Okay, so NASA Glenn's test facilities provide stuff to assess it, evaluation. This is all testing stuff. Develops and maintains administrative, technical, and leadership skills to deliver high-quality products. So this is a big part where my customers fit in, right? Is the administrative, technical, and leadership skills to help them get the job done. Let's keep seeing what it says. Well, that was the end of it. Let me back up. I want to come back to this really quick to my navigation. Where am I? Show hide, navigation pane, and bookmarks. Okay, so we went through the 4 goals, and it was very fast where they talked about it. And that really, other than this thing here, and I might just highlight it because there was nothing else highlighted. And by the way, I could go through an entire document and not find anything in there, right? I'm okay doing that and saying to the customer when I get on a call with them or something, hey, we went through your strategic plan, but I feel like it's such a high level that we weren't able to identify clearly where we fit in. And so we're hoping to talk to you about that. We know we fit in. Pretty much anything would be bought by NASA, and pretty much most of the IT work could be bought at Glenn, right? So we'll talk about that. But I'm about to go into the strategic framework, and this is where they'll break down, I think, the goals into further steps of what they're trying to do. So I'm going to go through this part pretty quickly on some of these pages because this is goal 1, and I already have this impression that goal 1 through 3 are not me. But I'm going to look here really quick. They're talking about technology. Here's world-class fluids, next generation radioscopes, etc. These are all cool stuff, but they're not us. payloads, which is, taking stuff up to space, I'm assuming, which is great, but it's, again, not us. So now I'm coming into, this is the framework for achieving the goals. Other people might call this the goal, and then these the objectives or something. But so here is the Orion program, and this is all space for goal 2. I'm pretty sure spacecrafts, propulsion, electric propulsion, and then here Delivery USA. They couldn't have come up with a better acronym, and a space launch system, which is perfect, but not us. Nuclear surface warfare power generation. So we don't work on that. So I'm going to keep on coming through here. Propulsion, linear graphic. So I saw technologies for a split second. I paused, and then I realized it's for fluids. That's not us. Continuing forward, this is what you should be doing. I would recommend, as well as you go through a document looking for where you do fit. So there's a lot of spots we don't. I think we also don't fit in here, but now they're going to break it down. So I might see something in here on goal 3. I know we don't fit in goal 1 and 2. So now I'm trying to see maybe 3, but for sure 4 is my impression from reviewing the document so far. Okay, so improve, develop energy storage, no. Advanced material component, no. Develop options for partnerships for space communication, no. Enable commercial development of new space transportation, SpaceX, I guess. Develop, demonstrate megawatt, develop integrated power. I'm seeing a lot of no, because this is very advanced technology related to space exploration. Continue the growth of patents, licensing, collaboration. No, none of that fits with what my customer does. There might be potential work somewhere in there, but it's not a home, right? I have the impression reviewing this that we should be able to fit into one of these 4 goals. Otherwise, maybe the goals aren't being described quite the way I would expect it. But I think you're going to see me find a lot more stuff I'm going to highlight here. So here we're on the framework for goal 4, optimize capabilities and operations throughout Glen. So in this particular case, improve and maintain institutional and testing capabilities to ensure facility alignment with national missions while shrinking the physical footprint and reducing cost of maintenance and operations. At the moment, I'm going to pause on that and not think that. My customers do some on the logistics side. I think they need to look at that. I might actually come back to that in a minute. In fact, I've just changed my mind. I'm going to highlight it just so I don't forget it. Utilize information technology. This is absolutely my customer. So 4.2, not sure if I got different color choices. Nah, so just yellow for the moment. So that one's big. Utilize information technology and computational tools. So right now I've got a lot of customers focused on big data, artificial intelligence, et cetera. So that's a big one. Cultivate and grow a cadre of technical and administrative leaders. So this is an internal goal or objective who can manage projects and have skills to lead complex things involving multiple centers. So this is not my customer, but this is definitely some of the people I've worked with before who are on the training side. You might not be able to obviously be the civilian workforce, but you can help train up the civilian workforce to fit this goal. So you might come in and say, hey, we can do 4.3. Okay, 4.4, provide timely, high-quality customer-focused services that support the projects, programs, contribute. This is absolutely where my customers would fit. Both the customers who do program management type stuff, as well as the customers who do like application development, software development, where they can come in and do process improvement tools that would help achieve this goal. Okay, attract, retain, and maintain a highly skilled, diverse workforce through recruitment programs. So this is, it's really none of my customers. It's really about retention. Oh, what happened there? Zoomed out. Oh, that's funny. Their page below. I'm talking to myself here. Sorry, hold on one second. Okay. Well, whatever. So it looks like I'm having a hard time zooming in. I'm an IT guy. You would think I could use a computer better. I just want this to be bigger. Okay, 4.6. So provide excellence in engineering and safety and mission assurance, technical authority to deliver. So this is about 4.6 to me seems to be more about mission, risk assurance, et cetera, or risk management. My customers are more on the system or IT side. Ensure a strong Glenn's safety culture through engaged workforce, effective safety and health programs. It's not really my customer. So coming back to this, just pausing for 1 second. I want to come back. So the two I really highlighted was 4.2 and 4.4, right? And the idea is when I'm going to have a conversation or my customers have a conversation with NASA at Glenn, they'll talk about 4.2.4, and hopefully the person on the other side of the line is also tracking on what my customer does and say, you know what, you also, could fit with these other people. Let me set you up a meeting with them or whatever it is. And then I put 4.1 down as something just to remind me that I want to point out to my customers, this looks like it might fit you. So hold on a second. All right, so we did the framework here. Let's go to the next page. We're at page 10, page 11 now. Okay, so this one looks it's crazy, but it is phenomenal for kind of understanding. So I'm going to keep it at this level for a second, and then I'll zoom in because I just want it to be clear. In this particular case, this is Glenn's vision and strategy in the middle, right? You see the box in the middle is the vision strategy. So that's theirs, and they're trying to say it ties together to these other two boxes, which are strategic goals and financial perspectives. So these are the strategic goals of, and going back, I think these were NASA's, right? So these are the overall strategic goals. And then, and what they're trying to show is this whole circular learning. So let me zoom in because there's more goals. You notice there's more goals, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 goals listed. But up above, there was only 4 goals. So now I want to dig in. Let me, I got a touch screen. That's why I'm leaning forward, but it's not working. So let's start with just this one box here, workforce and learning. Okay, might even go in a little bit more, sorry. Just make it really easy to read. So at the top, we had goals. So I'm just looking, achieve civil service staffing profiles that include 80% early hire rates. So they have a goal that they're trying to achieve and the way they're going to measure it. And then the initiative to me is I'm trying to look over there and go, well, let me look at it really quick. Hiring non-permanent civil servants. So how they're going to try to achieve those goals or something is what I'm seeing. I don't know this document. It's their document. I'm reading it for the first time, but they want to achieve civil service staffing profiles that include 80% early career hires. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming it means hiring people early in their career. Attract, retain highly skilled and diverse workforce. So initiative, hiring non-permanent civil servants to meet specific short-term mission needs. It's really funny to me, those two don't tie. So it's outside of my world. It's on recruiting. I'm going to move on. One thing that did catch my eye though is this idea of term limited temporary. Well, if you're going to do that, why don't you go with us contractors? So the second goal is strengthen core technical skills required to implement strategic goals and objective. 100% staffing and priority of projects. That's just what they're trying to do. They have priority projects like getting to the moon. They want 100% of the authorized people to be hired. Okay, flexible use of permanent folks and contractors to acquire the skills. So this is a good place to have a conversation. Let me see if I can highlight this guy. This is one I want us to pay attention to. Because that fits in. If the way they're measuring it is 100%, they fail if they don't get to 100%. So if my customer can come in and be part of this priority A projects in any way, they're helping them achieve that 100% staffing. So I just want my customer to look at it and be aware of it. Maximize civil service employee development, career ladder, promotion, blah, 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 training and development initiatives. So they have a lot of stuff they want to train their own people up with. That's not my customers, but again, if you're in the training side of the house, this would be a great place for you to pop in and say, hey, we can help get the civil service employees all the training they need. And then let's come down to the financial one here. So financial perspective, minimize cost while maintaining mission suitability. So basically they want to reduce costs without impacting service delivery, which makes sense. map and other process improvement initiatives, financial oversight for contract source selection. So this one's worthwhile looking at for my process improvement customer, because they do a lot of process improvement. And process improvement to me is a big part of it, is just cost savings, efficiency. And then the second goal is optimize deployment of funds for mission critical requirements. Commitment, obligation, cost metrics, minimize forward funding, and improve project planning control. That's outside of my customer's world. That gets larger into the program management. And throughout the federal government, there's many of these programs that are billions of dollars, and they're just not run efficiently. And one of the things the government's trying to do is constantly improve their efficiency on it. There's duplication, there's waste, and so they want to address it. And that's what they were talking up there, and that's a different set of customers than I'm focused on today, which is IT. Okay, so infrastructure and service perspective. This one here, I'm looking at modernize the infrastructure through strategic demolition. I'm sorry. I had to feel this out for a second, but it's as if they're talking about both construction projects like buildings and IT all together, which is fine, but it was just surprising me a little bit. So here, this is exactly where my customer fits. And so here they're talking about, they're using IT efficiency. I don't know if that fits into how they're trying to do. No, I think there's like facility management, IT management, they're throwing into the same row. But so this one's a big one for me. See this one, it says GRC master plan. I want to go find that. I'm going to go find that in a second. In fact, let me just do that right now. So I'm going to come over here and say, well, let's just start with GRC master plan. And I'll throw in NASA. Glenn Research Strategic Action. Yeah, that's the one we just did. That could be one. So a lot of this stuff, like I'm going in, this is a little old, 2007, right? So I got to come up here and just change this so that it's the last year. I'm not really seeing their master plan pop out. Infrastructure support services, that's a big one for people to get in. So I'll dig a little bit more. I thought I could find it really fast for you, but this is an example of what I would ask the customer. Let me just look at these two links. This is a resource support building. I don't see anything there. And then this guy, above and beyond. So it's 2014, overview of the strategic action. So this is really old. Okay, so I'm going to put a question down for my customer to ask NASA, hey, can you get us a copy of the Glenn Research Center master plan? I might go back to their main website one more time before I have them ask. The goal is to dig as hard as I can to try to find it. That way they know we did the homework. But if I can't, I want that because that tells me what's going on in Glenn. Okay, so maintain and improve existing facility and IT infrastructure. This is, again, what my customer does. Reduction in operations cost, course, key facility. So this one fits totally in their space. I'm just highlighting it. I know that this entire goal, achieve efficiencies for institutional services. And so I don't know what MAP and BSA is, acronyms just off the top of my head, so I need to go research those. But here they've got an actual number that they're trying to achieve for the next 5 years from 2020 to 2024 is they want to reduce by 3%. Any document or any conversation my customer talks about, they should be talking about how, how they've helped do cost reduction for other customers. You want to highlight that. And that ties right back to an infrastructure and service perspective of this overall Glenn Balance scorecard, right? How they're going to be measuring themselves. So this one turned out, this bottom one, infrastructure and service perspective, turned out to be very valuable for my customer because it gives them some language to talk about, but it gives them specific questions to ask and gives me some additional stuff to go research. Let's go to 12. So here they just talk about their roles. I'm going to go through this really fast because none of this really matters to my customer, but you can look at this. This is really important, what Glenn does. So here it talks about And this is definitely something worth looking at. And I try to encourage my customers, just understand what they're trying to do going forward in there. So understanding what they're trying to do in aeronautics. Another little tip is sometimes you can borrow the way this graphic looks. And when you're putting in a response, that if you have something like this, you don't want to say thrust areas, but this layout is something that they're using, they're probably used to seeing. Wouldn't hurt to kind of mimic it a little bit. This one I looked at, and it's funny, so it's aeronautics and it's space, right? And aeronautics was pretty clear with the thrust areas. And I have a feeling somebody else did this graph, and then a different graphic artist did this one, because they're totally different ways of communicating information. But this one here, I looked at before. I'm just realizing I've seen this particular one, but you can see that they have these different directorates underneath space. And I just want to zoom in really quick and give you a look at what I'm going to see. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is look around this in these directorates, because if any of the directorates say stuff that ties into what my customers do, I want to dig further in. So I'm looking here. I see radio isotopes, airborne, blah. It's not us. So this whole area is not me. I'm coming down. Here's microgravity, blah, blah, blah. It's not me. Launch and crewed space vehicles, integration with rocket propulsion, not us. This whole thing about human exploration, mission, I'm coming down and it's all space, communications, technology development. That's about space technology, not like, IT in the office or something. These are resource utilization. So I look at this stuff and it's like, well, we don't fit squarely in space, right? We're going to fit in this area that supports these directorates to get their job done. But then also I'm looking in here to see what they have. So this is just, they're just showing inside here that there's some stuff like, let's say, materials that's shared across these 3 different directorates that are in there. It's again, a bigger thing, but I know that I can move on. I go, okay, it's way too technical and I'm not going to talk about it because it's above what I'm trying to do. So here's another area I really want my customers to pay attention to. Let me go wide on this. This is NASA Glenn's 7 expected behaviors. And really you need to be integrating these into any message you have, whether it's a conversation or responses, etc., to help them see that you see what theirs are. And you can figure out how to do it. You're not trying to just cut and paste. You don't want to do that, but you want to sit there and show them that you understand this and value it as well. So helping all succeed. How would you do that? Like that, just off the top of my head, that actually is something that might be kind of a good page. If you got enough pages that, hey, we see NASA Glenn's 7 expected behaviors here, and here's how we crosswalk them to our own values or guiding principles, So looking through here at what they have, but you can see what's important to them. Excellence, respect, openness. They want to know that contractors are working with other contractors. Everybody's helping everybody. So this is how important it is, right? Cooperation and openness and respect. Those 3, and helping all to succeed. Those 4 behaviors are almost all around helping all to succeed, if you will. So that's my take on this. They might say it differently, and then safety, integrity, and the other ones. So this part it's important for my customer to understand. So let me decide what I'm going to highlight. I think it's just all of it. So I can come back later and just make sure they understand it. Anybody I coach, I really want them to take the time to get to know the customer they're selling to. If you don't, then you really don't care about the customer. You're just about the dollar, and I'm not interested in that. Okay, so here's an appendix. It's helpful. You don't need to know all this stuff, but I was curious about what some of these are. I'm able to look and go, Human Exploration and Operations Mission Directorate. Got it. So again, let me go down to the bottom here. Space Technology Mission Directorate. All right. So that was the review. You saw me go through. Let me back up again. The purpose of this video was to just go through and look at NASA Glenn Research Center's Strategic Action Plan as an example for other ones I might support or other plans I might look at, but to show you how do I go through it. I almost talked in the third person, right? How does Neil go through it? But how do I go through it to find stuff that could be useful when I do a phone call with a customer? I don't know what people call it, everybody calls it something different, but basically we're doing sales, and sales starts when you have an idea that you want to chase a customer down, and it ends when you get the business. If you don't get the business, you just keep trying, right? So it ends when you get the business. That's a sale kind of thing. And so there's all that activity in there. People call it capture or business development or whatever. But the reality is everything's made up of a bunch of meetings and getting in, learning information, understanding challenges. And this is one way to do it. I describe government contracting. I say government contracting is not a secret, right? It's a process. Analyzing a strategic action plan like this is part of the process, and it lets your customer know that you cared enough about them, that you understood what their plan is for the coming year, for the coming 5 years, and that you're on board with it, and you realize that your job is to support them in their mission. Hope this was helpful to you. Put some comments, a like on there. Let me know what else I could do on videos. I really like this idea going forward in 2020 of creating these Neil Raw videos that help you learn as I'm doing stuff. So go make it happen. I'll talk to you in the next video.